Thank you for joining us at xm.com. You're watching the Weekly Outlook. Of course, we'll be having a look at the week ahead. I'm Christina Marujos, and joining me today is Marios Hadjikyriacos, Senior Investment Analyst. Marios, we're looking at a busy week ahead with two central bank meetings, as well as a lot of economic data coming up. But before we get into that, let's see where we stand moving into the new quarter. The rally in yields appears to have cooled off, and the Eurozone area is finally attempting to catch up to America in vaccinations, offering the euro some relief. Are we on the brink of a euro-dollar reversal?
I don't know about the reversal, Christina, but we've certainly seen the trends that dominated over the first quarter go into reverse over the last couple of weeks. So specifically, we saw bond yields rallying over the entire first quarter. That supercharged the dollar and the pound, and it devastated the euro and the yen. Now, we've seen that cool down over recent days. I think a large part of that comes down to the Fed. So senior policymakers, the Federal leadership is insisting that they will not raise rates earlier than they forecast, even though the economy has improved so dramatically and even though we've gotten so much stimulus. And the market seems to be having doubts about that as well. The market is still expecting the Fed to raise rates way earlier than 2024, which is what they said. But we've seen some doubts creep in lately. Now, as far as euro-dollar is concerned, I still see this as a correction, not a reversal, but it's crucial to watch the 120 region. Right now, the pair is testing that crucial barrier. If it breaks above it, that would be a higher high on the daily chart, and it would turn the technical outlook to more neutral. If it is not violated, then the trend remains negative. Now, overall, I think it's difficult to be pessimistic on the dollar, fundamentally at least. Even if Europe continues to narrow the gap in vaccinations, the US economy is already much stronger thanks to fewer lockdowns, and there's a lot more stimulus on the way.
Now let's turn to central banks. The Bank of Canada meets on Wednesday. The latest economic data out of the country have been optimistic. Therefore, investors are expecting the bank to scale back its emergency programs. Is that the case? And how do you think the loonie would perform?
I think they're pretty likely to do that, to scale back QE. So the Canadian economic outlook has improved quite dramatically lately. The vaccination program has accelerated and the economy is healing really quickly. We've had some impressive labor market data lately. The Bank of Canada's business survey painted a very rosy picture of the economy. Oil prices are elevated. The housing market is booming. And if the US is going on a spending extravaganza, some of those benefits are bound to spill over into Canada as well. Now, there are some worrisome spots too. For example, Ontario went back into lockdown lately, but I don't think that's going to stop the Bank of Canada from scaling back its QE program. They did too much QE too early, in a sense. So they bought up too many bonds, and they're becoming worried that if they keep buying at the current pace, they're going to cause dysfunctioning in the market. So it looks very likely that they're going to push on the brakes. They might start buying 3 billion of bonds per week instead of 4 billion right now. And if they do that move, it would argue for a positive reaction in the loonie, but I don't think it's going to be a massive reaction because the move has already been telegraphed. Now, overall, I think the outlook for the loonie is positive, but not against the US dollar. I would argue that pairs like loonie yen or euro loonie might see bigger movements because I also think that the outlook for the dollar is positive.
The European Central Bank also meets this week on Thursday, and at its last meeting, Marios, it decided to accelerate its QE program. And so far, it appears to have worked. Therefore, what should we expect out of this meeting, and how might the euro respond?
I think it's going to be a pretty calm meeting. So the latest developments since the last policy meeting, they've been rather encouraging. We saw an acceleration in the vaccination program. At the same time, we've had some pretty good economic data, resilient economic data, you could say. But the situation is not great either. So as far as the euro is concerned, the reaction at the meeting is going to depend on President Lagarde's tone. She might be a shade more optimistic, but I don't think that's going to cause any huge market reaction. overall for the euro, I think that a lot of the good news has already been priced in. The economic situation is not as desperate as it seemed, but it's not bright either. So I don't think there's a lot of scope left for a powerful rally from here, unless we see the news flow continue to improve. As such, I think that the real event for the euro is going to be the preliminary PMIs, which are due on Friday. If those improve, then perhaps the relief rally can continue, but I think it all depends on the data.
Marius, thank you for joining me today. This was the Weekly Outlook. Thanks for watching at xm.com.